We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright.
Welcome along to NUFC Matters. Those were the days. Another episode with George. Been a while since we've done one of these, George. I did ask you if you can remember how to do them.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I can still speak, so that's all that matters.
Well, we're running out of years, George. We're getting ever closer to modern day. What year are we looking at this year?
99, 2000.
Fantastic.
It's we're looking forward to another year of Rudhull sexy football.
Well, over to you, George.
And that I've got to say, looking at that picture of the squad, that white shirt always strikes me as being very white, and I loved it. It I don't know why, but some whites are off white and grey, but that's definitely white, and I like that shirt. In fact, I like that both those strips were good. We're off to 1999, 2000. What's happening around the world? Well, in music, Radiohead's Top of the Pops. Bjork, Mowgli, and Primal Scream. I mean, it's not music that I would not naturally go for, but everybody to his own taste and everything else, including football. Start the season, Hullett, Shepherd really let Hullett use the checkbook. I mean, we got rid of Paul Dalglish, Philippe Albert. Oh, big sad for me from that one. Didier Hamann went to Liverpool. Andreas Andersen went back to Sweden. Georgiadis went back to Greece. Stuart Pearce went to West Ham on a free and still had a couple of more good years. And Frank Dumas went back to Marseille. And Famanka went back to South America. Incoming, and some of these names are the same because they didn't stay long. Frank Dumas didn't stay long. In came Kieran Dyer, Alan Goma, Marcelino, Enrique Marcelino, great name. People will remember that one, all right. John Carlsey, the goalkeeper. And it's interesting we're having debates about goalkeepers at the moment now, and certainly he was debate about goalkeeper because some people are saying the shot stoppers, some are good at everything else. We're trying to work out what Carlsey was good at anyway. Fumanka came in and went. Kevin Gallagher came in. Diego Gavilan came in, and Christian Basidas. So one thing Hullett couldn't say is that Freddie Shepherd had held him back in terms of money terms, because that wouldn't have been true. So we're off to a season of interest. Of course, as always, bags of friendlies at the beginning of the season. Den Bosch, Dern, Helmut Sport, Livingston, Dundee United, Redden, Celtic, a big one at Stoke City. In fact, so big that Stoke printed a programme. and it might be the first picture, Steve. Yep. And then Bochum were the last of the friendlies, and then we're into the season proper. And my first home game is against Aston Villa, everybody's looking forward to this. I say it's sexy football, and we're starting lineup: Harper, Serrant, Dummy, Duma, Marcelino, Alan Goma, Warren Barton, Gary Speed, Timuri Kitsbaya, and Noberta Solano. And centre forward, Alan Shearer. Substitutes: Lee Henry, Boateng, Stone and Calderwood for Villa, and quite a range of on ours. But the one that I remember is Paul Robinson, who had introduced Paul Robinson to the first team squad, and Villa's team. Well, David James, the name still, as we see on television, Mark Delaney, Colin Calderwood, who came back here as a coach when we had the Spurs guy, ex-Spurs guys were running the team. Chris Houghton, that's the name I was struggling for. Centre back, there's a name to conjure with: Gareth Southgate, Alan Wright, Ian Taylor, Alan Thompson, Julian Joachim, a dangerous forward who they bought from Leicester, and big centre forward who knows more about houses now than he does about football. That's Dion Dublin. So quite entertaining teams, and I remember the game. It was a beautiful August day, but two teams playing good football, but sadly not doing anything about scoring goals. And then towards the end of the game, everybody thought, well, we're heading for a 0-0 here. And in the last 20 minutes, Julian Joachim, the most dangerous guy on the pitch, did a solo run right up the middle of the pitch, and nobody at Newcastle side did anything to stop him. And on 80 minutes, he made it 1-0. 37,000 at the game, and you could see there was no way we were going to come back from that. Villa had their tails up, and they were going to hang on to those 3 points. So that's the first game of the season out of the way. Then we're off to Tottenham Hotspur for the second game, an away game. It's something of a happy hunting ground for Newcastle. We always give a good account of ourselves, and unchanged team from Hullet, and Tottenham: Ian Walker, Stephen Carr, who we get to know even better, Chris Perry, John Scales, Terracchio, Anderton, and there's the name we know, David Ginola, Leonardson, Tim Sherwood, who sees a lot on television now, Les Ferdinand, another name that we know, and Stefan Iverson. A very, very good Tottenham team, no doubt about it. 28,000 at the game. And as I say, we are unchanged. And, well, it's end-to-end stuff is how I think the commentators would describe it. We surprised everybody by opening the score, and Nobby Solano scores a nice solo goal in 16 minutes. And everybody thinks we're going to get into this. But on 29, Iverson equalises right on half-time. Who should get the lead? But Les Ferdinand with a typical Ferdinand header. Out-jumped Aaron Hughes and all the others in the back, and banged him on the bottom corner with his head. And everybody hoped that we would come back and maybe get a point out of it, but no, that wasn't to be, because Tim Sherwood on 61 minutes, 3-1, and that's how it stayed. And we never looked like we would get back into the game. So that's game number 2. We're then off to Southampton. yeah, the Saints on my way. Yeah, and there's it's interesting. I used to like the old Dell, but it was very small and compact and a bit old fashioned. But 15,000 at the game, which in those days was a big crowd for them. Anyway, off we go to Southampton. Everybody's hoping that we'll get something back from this. In fact, might even get a win. But I'm afraid hope springs eternal if you're a Newcastle fan. And despite, again, going in the lead on 22 minutes with a Shearer penalty, and that's how it stayed till half-time. And then after half-time, there was a deluge of goals, but all for Southampton. Cajul got 2, Pilar's got 2, got 1, and Hughes got 1. And that made it 4-1. And the 15,000 went home fairly happy because there's no way Newcastle were going to get back into that. And despite the fact that on just before the end, Gary Speed scored a very good goal, a blinder of a shot. It was never going to be our game. Referee, an interesting name, David Ellery, who made a name for himself by one of the referees in the day, who was prepared to speak to the press and be heard, which was taboo in those days. The Premier League, the Football League, and the referees, people just did not like referees who talked to the press. So anyway, we then come home to a game against Wimbledon, and well, the lively boys, or whatever they call them, crazy gang rather, always give a hard game, no question about that. And this game was no different. Nice day. I remember being there. One changed the team. The goalkeeper was Carl Sear was given a run out and because Harper had a bit of an injury. Otherwise, the same team. And interesting and hard fought game. In Wimbledon, all this characters: Neil Sullivan, Ben Thatcher, Kimball, Roberts, Kenny Cunningham, Pedersen, Trond Anderson, Robbie Ewell, Marcus Gale, and Carl Court, and Michael Leyburn. Bunch of characters, but still good footballers, but very, very hard. And Newcastle had to step up for this one, and give a good account of themselves. Sorry, there was one other change. Alan Shearer was missing, and young Paul Robinson was in the team, and that was to be, beginning of something. I don't know what. But anyway, entertaining game, end-to-end stuff, as it always was with Wimbledon. And Gary Speed puts you in lead on 7 minutes. Domi scores one on 28. And everybody thinks that's it. We're on our way. And then Hughes gets one back just before half-time, so a 2-1. And then after the half-time, Nobby Solano gets another one. It looks like we might win. And then there's sort of a blank patch where our defence goes to sleep, and Ainsworth gets the second for them. And then right on almost the last kick of the game, Ainsworth again makes it 3-3. 36,000 at the game, an entertaining game, but we threw the points away, is my opinion. When I was there, the couple of times let this lad Ainsworth slide in on the blind side, and he made them pay. And so 3-3, and with that draw and the previous defeats, we'll have the pleasure of being bottom of the league, which really is not where we wanted to be at this stage of any stage of the season, to be honest. So our next game, we have a home game against the Mackhams, the Sunderland game, and everybody's looking forward to a derby game, as we always do, but first thing to say is it was an awful night. I mean, when I say awful, it wasn't just rain. It really was cats and dogs. I mean, it was not fit for man or boy. Interestingly, of course, Hullett sticks by his previous selections and changed goalkeeper again. Tommy Wright's in now. Warren Barton's there. Dabizas, Domi, Goma, Nobby, Diaz brought Jimmy McGlenn in. Gary Speed, Silvio Maric is in. And then at centre forward, Paul Robson again. And with Paul Robson at centre forward and Alan Shearer and Duncan Ferguson sitting on the bench, to say that the fans weren't best pleased, to put it mildly. And everybody was soaking, including the substitutes. And I think the steam coming out of the home bench was more to do with how Shearer and Ferguson felt than about anything else, because it was absolutely tossing down. It did the whole night. Starting lineup for Sunderland: Sorensen, Steve Bold, Michael Gray, Chris Macon, Paul Butler, Gavin McCann, Alex Ray, Stephen Schwartz, Nicky Summerby, Kevin Phillips, and Niall Quinn. And it wasn't the best of games, and was never going to be with the rain the way it was. 27 minutes, Kieran Diaz scored a goal. Looked like we were off to a good start, and 37,000 at the ground, it looked like we're going well, but it difficult to play football, and the ball was stop starting because of the wet, and players were struggling with the wet. And anyway, on 64 minutes, Niall Quinn got a header and made it 1-1, and it looked like that may be it, but no such luck. Kevin Phillips suddenly just found his form and give our defence a run around, and 74 minutes made it 2-1, to the howls, of course, of the Newcastle fans, with everybody, I think it was to a man, wondering why Ferguson and Shearer weren't substitutes. Well, Ferguson did get on for Paul Robson, but not Shearer. And a night to remember is all I'd say, and not good memories, I have to say. So Sunderland, but was the end of Ruud Gullit, basically. He's he didn't last much longer after that. So we're now away to Manchester United, and to go there after a defeat at home to the Mackems wasn't the best thing to do, but that's where we had to go, no choice. And Hullett's still switching his goalkeepers. Tommy Wright's back in, and lo and behold, Shearer and Ferguson are in the team for this game, and it was inevitable, is all I'd say. We don't get off to a very good start. 14 minutes, Andy Cole. Hennenberg scores an own goal to give a 1-1 at half time. But after the half time whistle, Andy Cole just runs out a lot ragged, absolutely ragged, and scores 4 goals to make it 5-1. 56,000 in the ground, and a real 1,000 for us. So we're still struggling round the bottom of the league, which is, to put it mildly, depressing for everybody concerned. And then the Manchester United lineup, just sort of to fill people in: Van der Gouw in goal, Berg, Hennenberg, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Jaap Stam, David Beckham, Nicky Butt, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Andy Cole, and Dwight York. no, not one of our best days, I have to say. Then we're off to another away game, fairly quick to Chelsea, and it's always give a good account of ourselves to Chelsea, and the only other thing worth commenting about is that the referee was a man called Graham Paul, who had a reputation. He was a referee who would talk, but tend to talk out of the wrong end of his body. Some of the things he used to say. He almost got scratched from our semi-final against Chelsea in this season as referee, because in a comment in the newspaper, I think it was the Telegraph, he said that he hated Newcastle fans and didn't like it when he had to come to Newcastle. And I thought, and everybody was saying, well, how the hell can he, referee a semi-final after he said something like that? But he did. However, not for much longer. Chelsea, good side, playing good football. One of the clubs being touted as possible champions. Good game. We give a good account of ourselves. Tommy Wright's back in goal. Warren Barton, Nikos Dabizas is back in the side. And Rob Lee's alongside Gary Speed and Duncan Ferguson and Shearer up front. And give a good account of ourselves. Then on 37 minutes, a piece of slack defending by Goma. He brings down Chelsea danger man called Jody Morris, and they get a penalty. And Frank Leboeuf, a big French defender, scores with the penalty, and that's it on 37 minutes. And end-to-end stuff after that, but neither side really looked like scoring. And that again fixes us nastily and horribly firmly at the bottom of the blooming league, which, as I say, is not what people expected at all. So now we've got European football, the UEFA Cup. See, we're at CSK Sofia, and everybody's hopeful that we might do something in this trophy and play very well. Team Harper's back in goal. Barton, Zabizas, Domi, Goma, Solano, Dyer, Rob Lee, Gary Speed, Duncan Ferguson, Alan Shearer. And a more balanced team. It looked like we're a more balanced team. And frankly, we give SKA quite a run around. We only scored 2, but it could have been a lot more. And so that nice away win in the cup, especially in the European Cup matches at this stage. Away goals were still counting double, and we come home with 2 in the bag. So that's quite something. Then the next game is a home game against Sheffield Wednesday, and an important one because Mr. Hullett has been persuaded, that's the word that Freddie Shepherd used, I remember it vividly, has been persuaded to vacate the manager's chair. And Freddie gets the man he wanted to replace Kevin Keegan in the first place, Bobby Robson. So that's who he went for when Keegan walked away. But because Bobby wasn't going to let Barcelona down, he'd given his word and a man of his word, and he stayed there. But it got him this time. He did decide to come. And what a game this was for your first game. And our team, unchanged, Harper, Barton, Domi, Aaron Hughes slips in at centre-back alongside Goma, Solano, Kieran, Dyer, Jamiri Kutzbaya comes in, Rob Lee, Gary Speed and Alan Shearer. Sheffield Wednesday, Pressman, a goalkeeper, a character, John Newsom, Ian Nolan, Des Walker, all defender from Nottingham Forest, Emerson Torm, Nicholas Anderson, Simon Connolly, Danny Sonner, Andy Boothroyd, whose son is very much involved with the England under-23 setup. I think he's the manager, actually. So two teams, neither in very good position. I mean, we're in worse. That we're even lower than Sheffield Wednesday. But what a day! What a day! We might have known that it was going to be Heron Hughes scored a header corner at 11 minutes. Then Alan Shearer scored 30 minutes, then on penalty on 32 minutes, and then another one on 42. So we went in 4-0 half time. And if anybody thought that they were going to ease up, well, Alan Shearer wasn't going to ease up. He came out and slaughtered Sheffield Wednesday on his own with 2 more goals. So that was 4 for him, and then Dyer and Speed added 2 more. So 8-0 for Bobby Robson's opening match, which is quite a debut, whether you're a manager or you're a player. And I like that one. A lot of the pictures on these programs as well I like, because they've become iconic, some of them, because they are of players. They're not just the stadium or some inanimate object. They are action players, and that's great. So there we go. So Sheffield Wednesday's out of the running. We've dispatched them, and we're now off to Leeds United. Difficult game for us. Always a difficult game, and we. Interestingly enough, with David Batty on the front of the Leeds programme, because he was become a hero for us fairly shortly afterwards. Always a good game at Leeds, and we're playing better, and everybody's hopeful that if we get at least a point at Leeds, we could shift ourselves off the bottom of the league. Well, Bowyer scored on 11 minutes for Leeds. Harry Kewell on 39. And just before half-time, Alan Shearer scored one to pull one back. And everybody thought, well, we're on our way. And then 54 minutes, bang, Shearer again. We're 2-2. And everybody thought it was great. But Leeds brought on a substitute who we knew quite well, called Michael Bridges, a Newcastle lad. And would you credit it? He made it 3-2. So we came in with our tails between our legs. But a good game, as always, with Leeds. Trying to look at the Leeds. Oh, yes, of course. Centre-half for Leeds was a young man called Jonathan Woodgate. Centre-back, rather. I shouldn't use words like centre-half, giving me bloody age away if I do that. Jonathan Woodgate at centre-back. David Batty in midfield. Dee Bowyer in midfield. Harry Kewell, dangerous Australian player who married the actress out of Neighbours. And Michael Bridges. And, of course, another name that we know, Alan Smith, was in the team as well. So it's quite a big past or present Newcastle connection in that Leeds side. But we come home 3-2, and we're still not where we want to be. We're struggling. Next is the return leg against Sofia, SKA Sofia, in the European matches. We come home with a 2-0 lead, and everybody's hoping that we'll actually add to that, and of course, as I often say, hope springs eternal. If you're a Newcastle fan, well, we didn't add to it. We added goals to it, but the trouble is we let SKA get 2 as well, so we ended up with a 2-2 draw, through comfortably to the next round. For this cup, a nice tidy crowd of 37,000. That's not always been the case. And goals from SK on 29, and Shearer on 36, and Paul Robinson, who's come on as a sub on 88, makes it 2-1. And the last kick of the game, Semenov, 90 minutes, makes it 2-2. So SK go home with a draw. And well, after the match, you'd think they'd won the cup, never mind the game, because they were so delighted to get something out of the game. Tidy football game, and not one of the best, but it kept us entertained. The important thing is we get through to the next round, and we're then at Middlesbrough. Yeah. No, Middlesbrough at home. Sorry. Yeah. And well, I've always regarded this as a derby match, just like I do the Sunderland game, but not everybody is of their opinion. But I always thought it was. And it's at St James's, 37,000 there. Newcastle side unchanged from the SK team with Shearer still in at centre forward. And Middlesbrough with some big names. Schwarzer, the goalkeeper, we'll see on the telly a bit. Gary Pallister, Colin Cooper, Paul Ince at midfield. Juninho, the midfield dynamo. Robbie Musto. Over the years he played for Middlesbrough, he was a pain in our side. Well, pain in a lower region than the upper side. He always upset us. He always managed to get a goal. And dangerous man. And of course, Brian Dean, the big centre forward that they had as well. Good game and stuff. Played like a derby game, really was end-to-end stuff. And it's 17 minutes. Shearer gives with the lead. 44, he makes it 2. But then after the half time, Middlesbrough come back into it, but they can't get a goal. We hold firm. But then right at the death, 89 minutes, big Brian Dean, the centre forward, makes it 2-1. And we have a last 3 or 4 minutes of madcap stuff with Middlesbrough trying everything and we kicking everything into the stand to keep the 3 points, sorry. 37,000 at the game. An entertaining game. One I happened to be at as well. Lifts you off the bottom of the league. That's the important feature of it, really. Then we're off to Birmingham City for a cup match, and it's the equivalent, I think, of the League Cup now, isn't it? It's League Cup third round, and the referee's worth remain. Uriah Rennie, a big black guy who made himself famous. Actually, it was an Aston Villa game. It might have been the first game of the season.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, sent Alan Shearer off in the first half. And when he was asked why, it was because Alan Shearer had fouled too much. Consistent fouling. That's the reason he gave. And he said that Shearer fouled there, Shearer fouled here. Well, left the fans and everybody else absolutely mystified, but left the name of Uriah Rennie on everybody's lips for a long time afterwards. Well, we've got him again at Birmingham, and in this League Cup game, teams unchanged. Our team unchanged. Any characters in Birmingham's team? Well, Gary Rowett, who used to be at the Mackhams, David Holdsworth from Wimbledon, Martin O'Connor and Daly Abibola were two very dangerous forwards, as was the left-sided forward, Peter Undlove, who came from Coventry. Was on at the end of his career, but he was still a very, very dangerous player. But danger or not, it didn't trouble Newcastle. We went in. Sorry, we did get trouble because the 20,000 crowd went home very happy because on 45 minutes, Johansson's just before half time made it 1-0, and then Pearce, Buslin's forward that they had on 60 minutes made it 2, and so that looked like our trip into the League Cup was as per usual over and done with. So the next game is an away game as well in the Midlands at Coventry City. And Coventry tidy side. They played good football at Highfield Road, and but everybody thinks, well, surely we might get something there. Well, surely he's not in it, is it? It's we go in looking for goals, and we got goals, but off Coventry. Palmer 14 minutes, Williams on 22, Keane on 39, and that's Roy Keane. Well, we're out of it 3-0 at half time. We're not going to. Well, we'll try and come back, and Domey gets a one back, but it's after 80 minutes. And then the 23,000 crowd go wild because last kick of the ball, Hadji, one of their star players, makes it 4, and we come home well and truly with our tail between our legs and back hovering above the bottom of the league again. The team was changed in one place. Another goalkeeper came in, Shea Given, of course, and start of a really important career for us, I think, and for him. We in the Coventry team, goalkeeper, they always seem to have goalkeepers that are characters. Headman, Mangus Headman, always all over the place, and Mustafa Hadji was the midfielder. Really, really clever player. Gary McAllister, who we know quite well, he's still quite well known. Not too long ago was one of the Scotland management team, and one of the Rangers management team. Midfielder Carlton Palmer, who they got from Nottingham Forest, and of course leading the line was Robbie Keane, the Irish international who could score goals for toffee, and he did that night as well, and give us a bad time losing 4-1 at Coventry. Nobody expected that at all. So we're now got the next round of the European UEFA Cup against FC Zurich, and we're away to FC Zurich. And, everybody's hoping that we might get a run in this, and with the pressure off, why not? Got nothing to lose. Amazing. 9,600 attendance for a match like this. However, that's their issue. Our starting lineup unchanged with as it was in the Coventry game, and we get off to a flying start. It looks like we do, but it's goal by Shearer's cancelled out for offside. So we go in 0-0 at half time. Straight after the half time, Sylvia Maric scores a nice goal. And then on 60 minutes, Shearer does get a goal that counts to make it 2-0. And their dangerous Italian forward, Castellino, scores a consolation goal towards the end. But we never looked like we were going to lose this game, and we're off to a flying start in this game as well. We then off to Derby County at home. Derby still a tidy side, and at this stage of the season, they were actually on the top 4, which surprised people. But they had some tidy players, and so we go and have them at home. We 36,000 at the game. It's a tidy game, decent game weather for a Monday night at St James's, and we go in at half time 1-0 up because their defender Arenio scores in his own goal, and then when we come out after half time, Shearer makes it on 52 minutes, makes it 2-0. And frankly, it's a game that Derby were heralded as being a possible dark horse. Well, they were awful in this game. Newcastle didn't let them really get into it at all. So nice 2-0 win for the 36,000 who turned up. And most important, of course, is it lifted off the bottom of the league. So now we're off to Arsenal. Not the happiest of hunting grounds for us, but we always give a good account of ourselves. Really, is what I'll say. Is my reading of it, and we're doing this game 39,000 at Highbury for this game. And of course, Arsenal, a team of all-stars, David Seaman, Tony Adams, Martin Keown, of television fame. Doesn't particularly like Newcastle, but so what? Grimaldi, Silvano, fullback from Brazil, Nigel Winterburn, who him and his mate have nightmares of David Ginola up here, Freddie Lindbergh, Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, and David Succat. A very, very tidy side. Our lineups changed. We changed goalkeepers in this particular season so many times. Carl Say was back in. Nikas Dabizas was back in. And Marcelino made one of his rare appearances. He'd managed to get the spelt out of his fingernail by then. And Alessandro Pistoni. I mean, anybody that's watching that didn't know about Marcelino, he famously sat on the bench for nearly 2 months because he got a spelt in his finger. That was the story that was put out. It was really ridiculous, but and I think unfair on the guy in some ways. Pistoni, a nice, tidy little left back, Italian left back. Nobby was back in, and Kevin Gallagher was accompanying Shearer up front. And then Stuff, Arsene Wenger's their manager, and it was absolutely and it's the only way to describe it. But in terms of goals, never going to happen. Never going to happen. Nobody looked like they were going to score. So the 39,000 in the ground had to go home without a goal at all. And however, more importantly for us, we come home with a point and another step off the bottom of the league because we're desperate for all the help that we can get. And we come home to the return leg against FC Zurich in the European Cup, and it's a game that everybody thinks, well, we've already got the lead, it's everybody's cock a hoop, 35,000 at the game, except on 17 minutes, Gotcha Jamaruli, the dangerous centre forward. Well, he shows just how dangerous he'd be. He scores a nice solo goal, and they go 1-0 up. And, everybody thinks, well, what's happening here? Well, it doesn't stay like that for long. 33 minutes, and Silvano Maric scores 58. Ferguson, 61. Gary Speed with a pile driver of his mate, the sort of thing that Gary Speed used to do regularly. And we run out 5-2 on aggregate into the next round. So, good night's work by the lads. And then we're at Everton at home. Everton aren't much better than us, and it's a game that we should get something out of it. Line up again, goalkeeper changes back to Steve Harper. Otherwise, it's an unchanged team. Everton's team, Gerrard, goalkeeper that didn't last long with them. Alex Cleland at fullback. Richard Dunn, who that stayed with got from Manchester City. David Unsworth, David Weir, John Collins, a Scottish midfielder, and then another one, Don Hutchison and ex-Mackham, who always was a pain in the butt for us. and he was in there. Mark Pembridge, Nick Bonby, a star player from Middlesbrough and Tottenham, and Kevin Campbell. They're very, very dangerous centre forward. Good game, end-to-end stuff at St James's Park, and always going to be one of those games where you felt, well, first goal's going to matter, and we get it. Shearer on a penalty, 46 minutes after the Richard Dunn, it was, who brought Kevin Gallagher down in the box. And everybody thinks, well, that's it, we're on our way. Well, it seemed all right, but on 62 minutes was slept at a corner and Kevin Campbell come in, and the 37,000 had to go home satisfied with a draw. However, at this time, every point counts, because we're not looking very, very tidy at that wrong end of the league. And next, we're away to Watford. Not a place that we're used to going to, because they haven't been in the Premiership that long. But a place where everybody thinks we should get something. That's the point I'm trying to make. And at Vicarage Road, 20,000 in the ground, and quite a tidy football match. I remember reading about it and seeing the match of the day, and we played quite well, but so did they. Steve Harper back in goal, otherwise the team unchanged, and with Watford, goalkeeper character Alex Chamberlain, and other very few of really players of huge Premier League note. Xavier Gavilan was the centre forward, and quite a good centre forward, and a good game of football. And on they had Ngoni was one of their dangerous forwards, and on 53 minutes he showed it by scoring a beautiful individual goal. And then, as luck would have it, we get a corner that shouldn't have been a corner, is my memory. But we took it, and Nicholas Davis handed it in to get a 1-1. So again, another point towards this concern that we've got about being at the bottom end of the league. Next game is we're at home to we're away to AS Roma in the Europa Cup again, and it seems to be going well. We're in this tournament, and we seem to be doing it on a sort of, Bobby Robson seemed to let them loose. You know, his tactics seemed to be almost Kevin Keegan style, just telling them to have a go. And in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, 47,000 in the ground, and our team's unchanged. Not even the goalkeeper's changed. The Roma side full of famous Italian players, but the most famous, of course, is Francesco Totti, who was a big, huge Italian forward, not just Roma forward. He played lots of years for Italy and all sorts of competitions, and well regarded as a great player. Defender Cafu, who's Brazilian, was in their team, and yes, a tidy team full of internationals, and we're not expected to run away with this one, but we're giving a good account of ourselves. Well, we do, and it's a tidy game, but on 51 minutes, unfortunately, Nicholas Davies handles the ball, and Roma get a penalty, and because the very said Totti slots it in to give them Roma a 1-0 lead. Disappointing, but 1-0 is not the end of the world, and we come home to a home match with Tottenham Hotspur at St James's Park, and still needing points is the honest answer. And going into this game, 37,000. The crowd's been very faithful in it this season, because we spent a lot of this early part of the season near the bottom, and the crowd were quite Well, I remember being in the Gallagher corner. Normally, there would be all sorts of catcalling and booing if they're bottom of the league. But this particular season, they seemed a bit more content. And I think that has more to do with the fact that they recognised the job that Bobby Robson was trying to do. Anyway, Steve Harper back in goal. Team the same. No, it's not. Warren Barton's injured and Laurent Chavez comes in, the Frenchman. Spurs got their usual stars: Walker, Campbell, Sol Campbell, Chris Perry, Justin Edinburgh, David Ginola, Tim Sherwood, Chris Armstrong, Stefan Iverson. A very, very good side. However, end-to-end stuff, excellent game of football, and the first goal scored by Stephen Glass on 5 minutes. A young Scottish forward, diminutive little lad, were a tidy player, came from Aberdeen. Bobby Robson liked them, and he scored the opener in this game on 5 minutes. 44 minutes, big Chris Armstrong equalised, and everybody thought, well, that's going to be 1-1. But they hadn't counted on our old centre-half dangerous man in the penalty area, Nikos Dabizas, getting the winner on 60 minutes on the hour. And after that, we seem to hold on no bother with it. And so another point to put in the right direction. Nikos Dabizas, the Greek centre-half. In all the years that I've went to Greece, I always noticed it in my Greek friends. If I mentioned Nikos Dabizas' name, and I'd say it just like I've said it there, they used to laugh. They used to think it was funny. They never ever told me why, but they always used to have a good laugh when George said Nikos Dabizas. Anyway, he was a bit of a hero at home as well, and so he should be. We come back to Aston Villa. Well, we'll go to Aston Villa in the next league game. Not going to be an easy game because they're playing very well indeed. Have all their stars, David James, etc., in the team bought from Liverpool, and Lee Henry's in the team, who we see on television still now. Joachim, Dublin, all in the team. Our team's unchanged from the previous game, and going very well. Looks like we might actually get a point out of the game. Good football, but unfortunately, or fortunately for us, Duncan Ferguson's on form. All their stars just stand back while on 65 minutes he strolls through the penalty area for a corner and bang, it's 1-0. And that's how it stayed. They never looked like they would get back in the game. And heaves sighs of relief around the place because we're now actually clear of the bottom three for the first time for ages. We've been hovering around there for nearly all season. So then we come home to the home leg of the European Europa Cup match, and Roma have a 1-0 on aggregate. Bobby Robson's doesn't see any reason why we shouldn't get back into this game. But it's typical dour Italian defensive slog. 10 men behind the ball, and when they didn't get behind the ball, they tripped the players up, pulled their shirts, did everything they could, and ended up with the 0-0 that they intended to get when they came. And so they went through, knocked us out on a 1-0 aggregate. So the next week we have an away game, an FA Cup third round game at Tottenham, and it's not the best place to go for any sort of match, but for a cup match, an away cup match. It's given us nightmares, shall we say. And it's 33,000 at White Hart Lane, and that and Graham Poles back as the referee. and the team's almost the same as the teams that played in the league, not too many weeks beforehand. And except that Spurs introduced a new right winger called Ruel Fox, who we get to know quite well. And our team's unchanged. And we look to have a go at this one. And I don't know what it is, because it's the cup. And I think Bobby Robson again had just said to them, well, have a go, Unfortunately, on 57 minutes, Stefan Iversen puts Tottenham in the lead, and we think, well, goodbye. But we hadn't counted on a Gary Speed free kick on 77 minutes to make it 1-1. So we're bringing Spurs back to St James's Park for a replay, and well done. The tune is what to say. Then the next game is an away game in the league at Bradford City. And everybody thinks, well, we should get something out of this, if not win it. No such luck. We were never in it. Bradford sailed through this game. 19,000 at the ground. 0-0 at half time. Saunders and Weatherall, 56 and 71, make it 2-0, and Bradford take the points. I mean, we should have taken the points, but centre back, because a young man called Andy O'Brien, who we know very well. In midfield, Stuart McCall was a very, very entertaining player. Lee Sharp, ex-Manchester United. Lee Mills. Dean Saunders, of course, who was coaching with us for a while. And the centre forward called Dean Windass, whose son still was playing for Sheffield Wednesday just last year. Bradford a tidy side, but shouldn't have been so tidy that they beat us. Well, they did. 56 minutes, 71 minutes, 2-0. We were never in it. And it's the next game is the return game with Tottenham for the replay for the FA Cup, and it's 36,000 at the game. Our team unchanged. The Spurs team unchanged, with Sol Campbell still in there, and Ginola, and a good game. I remember this one. It was a tidy game, but dramatic to say the least. Speed on 5 minutes, Dabizas on 27, Ferguson on 45. In between, Ginola in 34 minutes gets one back for Spurs, so we go in 3-1 at half time. And after half time, Shearer hits 2, and Dyer gets 1. So we beat Spurs 6-1 in this replay. Totally, it was an unexpected result, but a result of that magnitude was definitely wasn't expected. So everybody went home happy that night. Tidy game and some good football. And Spurs just, it's 6-1. You're not in it, are you? You're really. Now the next game is an away game. Sorry, it's a home game against Liverpool, which isn't going to be a cakewalk either. Never is, and we want to try and get something out of this game, because we're still in the wrong end of the league, and it's just not where we want to be. Liverpool, of course, with all their stars, come and it's just a good game. Two teams going for it. 37 in the 1,000 in the game in the ground. Shearer on 12 gives me a good start, but then none other than a little man called Michael Owen on 31 and 52 minutes puts them 2-1 in the lead. Then 67 minutes, Duncan Ferguson with a towering header makes it 2-2. It's important because again, it's another point to getting us off the bottom of the league and into our safety zone. Hanging around that bottom three for so long was not good. But anyway, 2-2 against Liverpool is tidy. That it should be Michael Owen that gets the equalisers. Sticks in my craw a little bit, but never mind. So next we're away to Leicester City. Good football side, doing well in the Premier League. They play good football. They always give us a good game, and it's always an entertaining game. And we want to desperate for points. Of course, they're safe. They don't need to. They're not panicking. 21,000 at the game at Filbert Street, and we get off to a reasonable start. Duncan Ferguson on 21 minutes puts we're 1-0 in the lead, and it stays like that half time. Play some good football in the second half. Shearer on 53 makes it 2, and Leicester with their dangerous Greek forward Zagirouris, 83 minutes on pleases the 22,000 in the ground, but it's not enough. Newcastle have got this one, and everybody's heaving a sigh of relief because it gets us off the actually out of the bottom three well and truly. So we're home to West Ham next, and entertaining game against West Ham, and everybody's hoping that we get something out of it. Well, it starts well. 17 minutes we're in the lead through a Davies Arceta. 65 minutes, Gary Speed makes it 2, but lo and behold, a young man called Frank Lampard, 2 goals in 84 and 88 minutes, and it's suddenly 2-2, and we're hanging on for grim death. And we've changed our goalkeeper again. A young man called Shaka Hislop's in goal. Oh, sorry, we don't. Shaka Hislop's in goal for West Ham, who's somebody we know. Steve Harper's making the goalkeeping position his at the moment at home. And lo and behold, Marcelino plays the 3rd of his 5 games he ever played for in this match. And mystifying. That still worry about that young man, but never mind. 2-2 anyway. It was better than a defeat, and still gives a leg up the table, which is what everybody's desperate for. We're now into the 4th round of the FA Cup. Sheffield United at St James's Park. 37,000 at the game, and looks like it's going to go well. 5 minutes, Shearer scores. But 17 minutes, Smith scores, Martin Smith, to make it 1-1 at half time. And then after the second half starts, almost first kick, there's a corner, and Dabizas heads a 2-1. Ferguson heads another one at 59 minutes, 3. And then Gallagher scores with a nice tidy run and slot in to make it 4. So we go through to the 5th round of the Cup with a nice tidy 4-1 win, which is the size of the score was the win wasn't the surprise. It was the size of the score was the prize, I think. Surprise. We should have beat them, and we did, but it was a bit easier than people imagine. Southampton at home next. And we owe them something. Everybody thinks that we owe them something for what happened at the Dell. And 36,000 at the game. And get off to a cracking start. 3 minutes Ferguson, 4 minutes Ferguson. So 17 minutes Solano, 31 minutes, an own goal by Dryden just stopped Ferguson getting another one, getting his hat-trick. And we're going 4-0 at half-time. So if that's revenge, it's sweet revenge. And then after half-time, another towering header by Ferguson goes in off the back of the head of the defender, Monk. And we win 5-0. Incredible victory because Southampton had been playing well. Got one or two new players in the side. Stuart Ripley, ex-Flyer from Middlesbrough, right winger. James Beattie, dangerous centre forward. And, of course, a man called Mark Hughes, who was to eventually become the manager and do lots of other things in football. Next game is Wimbledon away. We hoping to get something, but 22,000 on the ground, and 0-0 at half time. Hard fought 0-0. Then just after half time, Robbie Earle makes it 1-0, and then Gale, the big defender, heads in from a corner to make it 2-0. And that's the way it stayed. We never looked like we're going to get back in that game at all. We were there and stuck there for a while, and the crazy boys, gave her quite a hard time of it, to put it mildly. So next is an away game at Blackburn in the FA Cup, and everybody's getting hot under the collar now. No, we've got this far, 5th round, my goodness. And hoping that we'll progress further. At Ewood Park, 30,000 in the ground, and that's a very full Ewood Park with 30,000 in. They'd be squeezing in that one all right. And some names that in the Blackburn team that we know: Dallin Kelly in goal, Darren Peacock centre half, Simon Grayson, who was to be the Mackems manager shortly after this, Damien Duff, who we got to know, Jason McAteer, who they got from Liverpool, and Matt Jensen, the dangerous Danish centre forward, who promised a lot but didn't deliver, unfortunately. Our team unchanged. Isn't unchanged. Helder, the Portuguese defender that Bobby brought in, was brought into the side because of an injury, and it was a tidy game at Ewood Park, and we went in 1-1 at half time. Shearer on 20 minutes, Jensen on 25, and then Shearer again on 79 made it 2-1, and that's how it ended. Through the next round, which everybody's cock a hoop about. But could it be that we're going to go all the way, as everybody's asking? Which there would be. It would even be now if we got that far. So then we're away to Sunderland in the next return derby game. But this time we're at the Stadium of Light. They've opened a new ground, which Bob Murray says will always have one more seat than St James's Park. Well, it didn't have, Bob, sorry. You never got your one more seat. And 42,000 in the ground. I remember being at this one and taking a young man who was getting into his football in a big way. But the only seats I could get were in the clock stand, which anybody know, not the clock stand, but the equivalent of the clock stand, which is full of Rotarites. So he had to be very careful. But never mind, he behaved himself until the last goal. Went in and he couldn't resist standing up and putting his arm in the air. However, they were very polite and weren't too bad about it. 11 minutes, Didier Domi scores for us. 21 minutes, Helder scores, so 2-0 in a derby at Sunderland, and everybody thinks, "Wow, this is going to be great." well, they hadn't banked on a little man called Kevin Phillips. 22 minutes, he got one back. Then to break our hearts, 85 minutes, he gets another one to make it 2-2. But at least we've got a point. And like, again, we're heading in the right direction in the league. So we're the best thing to say about it is that we're heading in the right direction. We come home to a tough game. Everybody's expecting a really tough game against Manchester United, who are challenging for the top, and that's hell that I was talking about. Nobody's expecting a lot out of this one, but the fact is, Newcastle just, I don't know why, it's 37,000 in the ground. Ferguson and Shearer just took Manchester United apart. Ferguson on 26 minutes scored. They never really threatened. Shearer on 76 got the second, 86 got the third. We ran out 3-0 winners. Great victory, and the one that was unexpected to be that big, but nonetheless still very welcome, and really does propel up the league, that win. Manchester United, Boschness in goal, Dennis Irwin, Gary Neville, Michael Silvestre, Jaap Stam, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Andy Cole, and Teddy Sheringham. So that's not a bad team to beat 3-0. In fact, it's a very good team to beat 3-0. We propelled up the league for that one. Then the next game, of course, is the sixth round of the FA Cup at Tranmere, and everybody thinks, "Oh, banana skins, Tranmere, what a place to go for a cup match." And again, all the commentators are saying, "Well, they've got two forwards, Allison and Jones, got to keep our eyes on them." Well, we did, but we nearly didn't. And 27 minutes, 16,000 in the ground. Gary Speed makes it 1-0. Didier Dome 2-0 on 36. So we go in towards half-time. And then this Allison, who we're being told was a dangerous player, bang, right on half-time, 2-1. Then after the half-time, 59 minutes, Ferguson makes it 3-1. And then Jones, the other bloke we're told to keep our eye on, scores a blinder from outside the area, and it becomes 3-2. After that, it was backs to the wall for Newcastle United. Tranmere hit them with everything, but were held out and came home with a FA Cup sixth-round win at Tranmere, 3-2, and put lots of smiles on faces and took the gloom out of the league position. So then we're away to Sheffield Wednesday on the Saturday, with next Saturday on league duty again, and everybody's hoping above hopes we might get it, because Sheffield are now worse than us. They're in danger of relegation, and we're just slightly above and feeling a bit smug with ourselves. Well, we play well. 30,000 at Hillsborough. Gallagher on 12 minutes, Shearer on 86. Sheffield never looked like threatening. It was our game from start to finish, and again shot with the right end of the league. We come home to a home game against Chelsea, who are one of the title challengers. Good game. We play well. Unchanged team for us. In fact, for the rest of the season, Bobby Robson's virtually plays an unchanged team. Even our goalkeeper stays the same, being Shea Given. And 37,000 in the ground. Chelsea, as always, dangerous, playing good football. 22nd minute, Gus Poyet scores, and that's how it stays. Entertaining, but no sign of any goals. And so Chelsea go home with the points, and we cursing ourselves for giving the game away, really, in many ways. But Chelsea were really worthy winners, is my memory. and that's not good for our league form, obviously, position. And then we have the next Saturday, we have another home game against Watford, a return game against Watford. Another entertaining game, 37,000 at the game, which for Watford's a good crowd. I mean, the fans are really being faithful to Bobby Robson. But it looks like it's going to be a horrible 0-0. Good entertaining football, but nobody getting near the onion bag at all. But then 58 minutes, Kevin Gallagher scores one of the best goals he ever scores for Newcastle United, in my opinion, and makes it 1-0. And we sail out 1-0 winners and push ourselves back up the league, much to the delight of everybody, particularly Gallagher Corner, I can tell you. We're in away to Everton in the league. Everton aren't doing as well as they might. Everybody's hopeful that we might get something out of this. And we do. We play very well. 33,000 in Goodison Park. And it was 0-0 at half time. Looks like that's how it was going to stay. And then from a corner, Aaron Hughes managed to head in a good goal. And then right at the death, almost the last kick, Kieran Dyer scores one of the better goals he's ever scored for Newcastle. Mazy dribble, outpaced the defence and slots it in the bottom corner. So we'll come home with a 2-0 win from Goodison Park. And again, the difference that makes to our league position is enormous. We're no longer struggling about bottom three. We're now looking at top half is our ambitions now, which, considering where we were when Bobby Robson came, is quite a turnaround. Next game's away to Liverpool, so we're back in Liverpool straight away the following weekend. And we're playing an unchanged team and doing quite well. Looks like it's going to be, could get a point, 0-0 at half time, and we're playing well, not overawed by Liverpool. Then Kamara scores on 52 minutes, makes it 1-0, 45,000 in the ground in Anfield. 69 minutes, and Shearer makes it 1-1. And everybody hopes, well, let's get a point anyway. It looked like that, but then, lo and behold, 89.5, must have been nearly 90 minutes, last kick of the game. Jamie Redknapp, of all people, bangs one in from the edge of the box to make it 2-1. So we come with a loss, but nobody's downhearted because it was a good performance by any stretch of the imagination to go to Anfield and get that result. Then we come home to a home game with Bradford City, and they're not doing very well, so perhaps we'll get revenge. 36,572, which again, for Bradford City is tremendous of the fans to support Newcastle like that. 7 minutes, Gary Speed scores with a typical free kick from the edge of the box. And that's the way it looked like it was going to stay at the end until last kick of the match almost. Is a corner, and somebody called Shearer volleys the ball in from the edge of the penalty area, and we go out 2-0 winners and pushes were right up the league to everybody's delight. Now, FA Cup semi-final, and we're playing Chelsea. And, everybody's desperate for something to happen, and we get to the final. Well, yeah, so were we. But I've got to say, on the day, we just didn't turn up. We didn't turn up. I mean, Gus Poyet scored in 17 minutes. Robert Lee equalised with a brilliant header, is my memory, on 66. But after that, we faded, and Poyet again on 72 made it 2-0. 74,000 at Wembley. I had a carload of unhappy magpies to bring home. They're sudden bad losers. They are. And the driver always gets it in the neck. How are you? Get up the road, man. What are you hanging about for? Pass him, do this. But it's good fun. I love them to bits. They're all great. So we come home, tails between our legs. No, we don't. We stay in London for a game against West Ham. And we're not a happy hunting ground, London at all. And we go with some hope, but suddenly it's more hope because on 48 minutes, in a 26,000 crowd, Gary Speeds made it 1-0 to us. And then you think, wow, is there something in here? Well, West Ham dangerous for called One Chop changed all of that. 60 minutes and 89 minutes, 2 goals, and we're 2-1 losers. And fortunately, it damages the league position, but we're not in any particular trouble because of it. Come home for the return leg game against Leicester, and everybody thinks, oh, well, we did well there. We'll take them at the Gallagher. Oh, no such luck. No such luck. 1-0 at half time because of a little man called Tony Cotty. Dangerous forward, little guy, but very dangerous. And then, of all people, on 52 minutes to get the winner, a young man called Robbie Savage, him of blonde hair. Not my favourite player, I've got to say. He has strange opinions about various things, but he punished with that day. 2-0. Never looked like we'd get back in it. In the 37,000 that we're in, went home, unhappy. Next Sunday was the return game against Leeds United at St James's with 37,000 in the ground again. You know, fans being very loyal. A good, entertaining game, this one. And it looks like a disaster because on 12 minutes, Michael Bridges makes it 1-0. Wilcox makes it 2-0 on 17. Everybody heaves a sigh of relief when on 24, Alan Shearer makes it 2-1. And second half, Steve, can I go to my door?
25-3, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Go to their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. Go to their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email info@unitedgrouptravel.com, or phone 01670 632 460, or mobile 0791 666 4174. They're a local company from Morpeth, and there are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button under the video. Click the thumb up to like the video, and click share to share to your social media. If you want to help the channel financially, you can pay a one-off £25 fee. You get a cup, a scarf, a pen, and a membership card, and entry into the NUFC Matters monthly draw. Email john@nufcmatters.com for more details, or if you've got a smartphone, scan the QR code now, and it takes you straight to the membership pack. We also support the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and you'll find the matchday bucket. You can make a donation virtually today. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. We also do events during the year. NUFC Matters Live will be at the O2 City Hall on Friday, the 2nd of August, for an evening with Rob Lee, one night in Antwerp. Tickets start at £15, and you can get them from ticketmaster.co.uk. An evening with the entertainers takes place on Friday, the 24th of January 2025 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle. Telephone 0844 249 1000 or visit the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk to buy tickets today. You can also catch me on the North East Footy Breakfast Show live on Toon Radio weekdays 7 till 9 a.m. on DAB, smart speakers, and the ToonUK.com. Okay, welcome back. And we were talking about Leeds United before someone knocked at your door, George.
It was my grandson, Josh, come for his ticket for Blackburn. So it was a football matter. Anyway, Leeds shocked was to put it mildly. And Bridges and Wilcox put them a lead. Shearer snatched one on 24. But it looked like we might going to get beaten this one. But then, as always, Shearer doesn't let us down. 48 minutes, bang, a real cracker from nowhere. You know, we weren't in the game until then, and it was 2-2. After that, Leeds had to hold on because we really went for them. But an entertaining game always is with Leeds. There's always something happening with Leeds. If it's not Jackie Charlton and Norman Hunter kicking somebody, there's always something happening. They're a team. I mean, if you take the two local ones out of the way, they're the nearest to us in the Premiership, and I think that's where they deserve to be honest. I would like to see them back. Anyway, that's another matter. So we're now at home the following week. That was on the Sunday. The following Saturday, we're at home to Coventry City. Now, Coventry aren't playing particularly well, and everybody thinks we should at least get something. Well, they're not disappointed in this game because we pressed Coventry 0-0 at half-time. How, I don't know. The ball was zipping every which way and off the post, off the bar. Wouldn't go in the onion bag. But after half-time, Shearer got pushed in the penalty area in the corner, and he took the pen himself and made it 1-0. And then Diego Gavilan, in one of his rare appearances, scored a nice tidy goal from the edge of the box to make it 2-0. So we got a revenge on Coventry and got the points and pushed up towards the middle of the table again. We're next away to Middlesbrough, the Tyne Tees Derby away leg, as I would like to call it. A good game, a nice game. 35,000 at the game. Now these are games I tended to see because I had family that lived in Middlesbrough. And better be careful what I say. We used to go to the match as a family, but I had a cousin who used to come with us to go to the match. We went to the match, and he went down the back alley to a Thai massage parlour. And then came out at the end when the match was over and went home and talked more lucidly about the match than we did, and we were the ones in the game. So anyway, odd, but never mind. Nice lad, just the same. But this game at Middlesbrough, good game, end-to-end stuff. The Brazilian star Jorginho scores on 5, Gary Speed on 10, and Pistonia, our Italian left back. I always liked that little left back. He was a brilliant little player, and he scores on 18. I think we're going to get a win. Well, another Italian called Festa in Middlesbrough's team on 78 makes it 2-2, and we come home with 2-2 with 35,000 people are quite happy at seeing what was an excellent football match, and we get another point, so we couldn't complain that really. Next game is an away game to Derby County, and Derby were very flat when they played us up here, and this game was the same. 0-0, and it looked like 0-0 from the first 5 minutes. Nobody looked like they were going to get anywhere near the penalty area. Two teams determined not to lose. 33,000 in the baseball ground, and that's the way it stayed. 0-0. Absolutely the typical boring 0-0 as you could ever see. However, the upside of that is it's still another point for us, and we're now in the middle of the league, which is really, people didn't think we'd get there. Then we come to final league game of the season against Arsenal at St James's Park. 37,000, that 37th sticks around. In fact, the average crowd for the season was 37,200, something like that, which is remarkable considering where we've been, bottom of the league all the time. And rightfully his picture on the last programme, because it was his season, in my view. You know, we all love what Howe did with Newcastle a couple of years ago, saving them from the relegation. Well, this season didn't go too far away for Bobby Robson, because when he came, we were in dire trouble, no doubt about it. Anyway, that aside, Arsenal come, fantastic game, end-to-end stuff. Kanu opens the scoring on 7. Gary Speed equalises on 8. Shearer puts with 2-1 in 23, so that's the half-time score. And then 53, my mates, Matt's, the Swiss international for Arsenal, makes it two to them. And then Shearer gets, Gary Speed gets another one to make it 3 for us. And then Andy Griffin, Teddy, little fullback, makes it 4. So we end last game 4-2 and end the season 11th, which is nobody in the before Bobby Robson came. There were, I remember standing in the Gallagher corner and people were counting the days to relegation just before he came, and then suddenly the gloom lifted and there was the different atmosphere. We had 2 more friendlies, and we played the Premier League All Stars, which was for a testimonial away at Aston Villa. For one of their old players. I think McGrath was the old centre-back. And then we had a visit from, there was a visit in the country from Tobago 11, the international 11 from the West Indies. And we stayed in the Midlands and played that game as well. And we won both of them. And interesting season in many ways, but they were finished 11th after the traumas of the Hullet saga and all the rest of it. Was a job well done by Bobby Robson, no doubt about it. And if you have any doubt about that, look at the average crowd. Look how many times I've sat here and said 37,000 for nondescript teams. And my view is that was loyalty to Bobby Robson as much as anything, as well as the club. Cup semi-final, which was ever so disappointing. As I say, I remember that Busa got all the way home in the back of my car. from O'Neill and his mates. Get home, pass that, do this. All because we lost the football match. But never mind, that's football, isn't it? Interesting season. I would have loved to have seen Hullet win with his sexy football. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it on the dressing room. For me, that's where he lost it, in my view. Otherwise, he could have been a hero. And I think he knows that now. You watch him when he talks to Shearer and others on the telly now, and you see that. So, anyway, another interesting season for Newcastle United, Steve, and I hope it's been interesting for those that are viewing in today.
Great stuff. Into the millennium then we go, and look forward to the next one, George. But for now, thanks very much for taking the time to do it, George. See you on the next one.
Great, Steve. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.